Hi everybody, this is Kristen from Mastermind Adventures, and we are doing a little video today because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Yay! Woo! And we thought we would give you some recommendations of games that you might like to play with your family instead of talking about politics. So we're going to start with Tom. We're going to go through two different recommendations. One game that is good for, especially good for kids, and then another game that is good for the whole family. So Tom?
All right, so my first recommendation for a family-friendly game is Dixit. While it's very family-friendly and kid-appropriate, it can also be very cerebral with adults only as well, so it's kind of a little bit of both. Essentially, you're given cards without really anything on them but pictures, and the scoring gets a little weird, but when you kind of get into it, it gets really kind of competitive and really surreal and just really a lot of fun. So it's really interesting.
And all the meeples are bunnies.
Yes,
really
they're
cute.
also, all of your characters are little bunnies that are going around a track around a little pond. It's kind of adorable.
Can't get any better than that.
Nope.
Okay, so my recommendation for a great game for kids is Stare. I actually got this game a really long time ago when my oldest, who is now almost 18, was a little boy. And it's a pretty simple game. That's what the board looks like. And the object of the game is to kind of work on your memory skills. So the way that you play is that these all have pictures on them. So the person who is going to be asked the question has to look at the picture until the timer runs out, and then they have to be asked a question. And so the back, you roll the dice to see which question is asked, and then the person gets asked that question, and they could even either get it right or wrong. And the types of questions are things like, how many flowers is the girl holding in her hand? So you've got to work on your memory, go back to your own memory and see if you can remember. And they're scoring, and the first person to the end wins. Super simple game, super fun to do with kids. So that's Stare, and it is, I don't know who makes it, but I definitely recommend it for games for kids. Allie?
Okay. My recommendation is Storyline. This one in particular is fairy tales, but I believe they have a bunch of different kinds. So Storyline is kind of like a little bit like Mad Libs. You have these little cards that they're all different types, but they have objects, and there's places and people, and there's this one in particular has two different story tracks. One about like a hero defeating a villain, and one about a hero going out on a quest. And it's really super simple. Every round, someone plays the narrator. Everyone gives them a particular card that would go with the action that they're asking for. And by the end, you have like a 15-part story. It gets really, really silly and really fun. You can't help but laugh when you play this game. It's so much fun. You can play it with, I think, up to 8 people. 8 people. We've only ever played it at most with, I believe, 6, but it's no matter how many people we play it with, it is a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend it.
It's beautiful too.
Yeah, it's really, really fun, and the layout of the cards is really great. So
Yeah, I should also mention Dixit is for 3 to 6 people, just how the scoring works. So if it's just going to be 2 people, you might want to look at one of the other ones. So I guess I'm up next.
You're up next, yes.
Okay, so the game I recommend for not adults exclusively, but kind of a more challenging or mature game, is a game called Barony. This is actually one we just picked up. It's for 2 to 4 people, and it's intense. It's kind of partially Settlers of Catan and Risk. You're essentially building the board game out of these little hexes here. The board game is randomized every time, and you're basically trying to become the first person to become the Baron, and it gets really intense and really competitive as you're building up armies and sending them out to stuff and trying to capture locations that used to belong to your enemies. And we played it once, and I'm fairly certain my fiance over there wanted to punch me, but I could be wrong. But no, it's
a really fun game.
It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
And all the pieces are made of wood, and they're all beautiful.
They're all machined and very nice looking. So I'd show you a specific one, but
they're very juicy. You just want to bite them.
Yeah. So if you want to avoid talking about politics, just call people cheats and liars and barons.
Yes. So much better. So my recommendation for a family game Kids can play this too. It's actually recommended for ages 10 and up. Is Geek Out, and Geek Out is a party game that is mostly just kind of a trivia game, but it kind of, for those of you who are my age and older, you might remember a game show called Name That Tune, and that's kind of how the mechanic in Geek Out works. So for example, here's one example that is please name 2 comic book characters that have a tank. So I would say, okay, I can definitely name 2, and then
I think I can
Allie,
name 3.
then he would say he can name 3. Allie would say,
I can name 5.
oh, and then I would say, oh, I'm out. I can't name that many.
Prove it.
Yeah.
And then she would have to name.
And I have to name 5
5.
or lose points.
And then
Yep.
get the card. So it's actually really fun. It's a lot of common knowledge questions. So you don't have to have any specialized knowledge. Pretty much anybody can play this game. Even though it says Geek Out, you don't have to be an uber geek to play it. You can still have fun and know the answers to some of the questions. Yep.
All right, so my recommendation for a family game is Tsuro.
Yes.
So Tsuro can be for up to 8 players, I believe, and you use a board game or a board.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, actually, the entire.
So it's basically just a grid. This is the Phoenix, but they also have a dragon. So on each grid, you place these little. You're building a path. So you have these little cards that you place on the board, and they make paths together. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your little dragon from one of these points to not go off the board onto one of these other points. You're trying to basically get everyone else's pieces off the board while you stay on the board. So it's a very, very simple game to pick up and play, but it is very strategic. It can be as complex or as simple as you want it. Pretty much any age can play this once they can figure out how to draw a path, and it gets really intense, and it's really, really fun. It's one of the best kind of group party games that I've ever played. It's really, really fun. So
what I like about that game is that anybody can, even if they don't like big board games, they can pick that up and play it and have a good time with it.
Also, that's probably one of the highest population games. That's up to 8 players, which most of these other ones are
6 or
6 or less.
So you can play this with a big group. You can play this in teams.
Right.
And there's something about moving your little piece along each of the paths as you're putting down pieces. It's very calming.
Yeah.
It'll make you kind of feel, after you've had your Thanksgiving dinner, you'll be like, oh, now I can take a nap and I can play Tsuro and
and I don't know.
everything's fine.
I don't know why, but every time everyone moves a piece, they always go woo.
Yeah.
There's always
it's
a
kinda
noise that goes
it's
with
really,
it.
really fun.
Yeah, it is actually. It's a
So
very.
we
that's our
hope
recommendation.
from our family here at Mastermind Adventures to yours, we hope you have an outstanding Thanksgiving, and we are open tomorrow. Not tomorrow.
No.
We're
Not
open on
Thanksgiving.
Friday. So if your child gets tired of shopping with you, please, if they're 10 and up, they can stay here and play games while you go shopping. If you have a husband or wife that gets tired of shopping with you, they can also come here and hang out with us.
If you just want to play board games.
And we also are having Nerf Wars at 6 and Troll Ball at 7. So we hope to see you on Friday or sometime next week. Thanks so much, guys.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.